Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and I have with me the most amazing person, Deanne Welsh. Welcome, Deanne.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. It's my honor and pleasure to have you. So we're going to be talking about It's Only a Breath Away. And first, I would love for you to do your story of transformation, if you will, and your upbringing, really, because that was so fascinating to me that you were actually raised on a missionary ship. You're also from Canada, so are you by the ocean in Canada?
I was not,
Or
no.
were you? Okay. So the ocean piece of you, the girl by the sea, comes from living on the missionary ship. Is that right?
Yes.
With your parents. Yes, that's where you grew up. All right. Well, tell us a little bit more. That's such a fascinating story right there.
Well, I grew up on missionary ships overseas, and so I was actually born in Germany. My brother was born in Aruba. My sister was born in Senegal, Africa, and then the youngest sister was born in New Zealand. So I spent the first 7 years of my life born to Canadian parents, so I have a Canadian passport, but literally traveling the world, being in a port for 2 weeks to a month, and then sailing to the next port. And so a lot of transition. And then we lived on land for a few years and then returned back to the ship when I was 12. And that the whole experience of living on the ship and seeing so many places and cultures and always kind of being the outsider, the one who was visiting and observing the place, that's really what led me to writing, because I was struggling to capture the experience, the feelings, the places. And so that's really when I got lost in books, found my own writing voice, and just developed this deep passion for putting stories into books and publishing and marketing and all of that. It really began when I was at sea trying to find my own voice.
Cool. And now you help other writers to do the same and to kind of feel the fear, do it anyway, and just step out, right?
Exactly, yes, because writing transforms us. And so I love helping other people embrace that.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, love is like water. Tell us more about that.
There's nothing like being on the ocean, and every direction that you look in, there's only water. Standing on the deck and looking out, just seeing water was such a monumental moment for me, and it really tied into how I experience life. And it's so easy to focus on the things that are wrong or focus on the things that are lacking, whether it's land or a relationship or there's just a pain point that's bugging us. And so often when we're focusing on that lack, we forget of all that we do have. And so I really believe that each one of us is actually surrounded by love, surrounded by affection, but it just takes us kind of switching our mindset and being open to it and seeing it. And that's really like love is like water because it surrounds us, it's all around us.
I love it. And the it's only a breath away. It could be like success is only a breath away, and acceptance is only a breath away. And even like on Facebook, you see like the guy in the tunnel and he's chipping away and he's like almost out and gives up, right? So it's kind of that remembrance that you're almost there, right? It's gonna happen, even like publishing a book or falling in love, and you can't draw in a love like the love of your life, if you will, until you love yourself, right? So chipping away and doing the inner work to get to the point to love yourself, again, it's only a breath away, just keep moving, it will happen. Is that the encouragement that you give to the writers you work with?
Exactly. And really just embracing the journey, playing along the way, because when we are operating from a secure and loved place, our art and our courage just, tenfold. And so then we're able to actually finish that work and publish that book and put ourselves out there despite the fear.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. So solid foundation like ice. I mean, water can become that solid foundation. And again, when you love yourself, you're on a solid foundation now to love others as well as to draw in the love of your life, if you will. Okay, cool. So tangible and infuses everything. That's what love is, right? It's tangible and it infuses everything. And same with water. It doesn't seem terribly tangible because when we touch it, it sort of disappears, right? Somebody said, yeah, I just want to be in flow, just fluid like water because it has no form. And it's like, even a puddle has form. We get to remember there is form, even when it doesn't seem like there's form. So kind of like, I remember having this conversation with you that creatives tend not to create form around their writing. They just start writing, and how important it is to create some form around what's being written. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, I do. Exactly. And that's where, making sure that we are making it tangible and there's a purpose and there's structure there, it actually helps us receive that love and create.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. And then surrounding us everywhere, we pretty much touched on that. Is there anything else here that you'd like to touch on before we move on?
So often from writers, I hear, oh, I'm blocked or I just have nothing to say. And the same way that love surrounds us everywhere, so do ideas, so does inspiration. And so I love encouraging writers, look around you, listen to conversations. Even social media can be a place where we glean so many ideas of what to write about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Okay, and you can do it, right? You really can do it. And you've heard people say, I've done it. If I can do it, you can do it. We come into this world all powerful, and then lots of stuff in the human happens, and we just tend to forget who we really are, right? And we're a very powerful spirit. So tap back in, people. All right. And never give up. Go ahead.
And that you exactly said it, that so often we give up or we get discouraged, but when we're kids, like if you look at a classroom and the teacher says, hey, I need a volunteer, every single 3 or 4-year-old, their hand is going to shoot up
And they don't even know what to do.
Exactly. But then you go to a room of adults and they ask for a volunteer and everyone starts judging. Everyone's like, well, I'm not sure what they're going to ask me to do. So you're lucky if you get, 2 to 3 hands to shoot up. But as creatives, we need to know not to give up. And I love to say, never give up, but do take a break because there are seasons or times where we're discouraged, the work is difficult.
Right.
So taking that break, but then realizing, okay, I'm going to come back to it. And I also love thinking about, Jack Bauer in 24, how he's always in these situations where it's life or death. But because it's a life or death situation and he's so focused on figuring a way out, he always does. And the same way as creatives, so often we give ourselves the way out of just giving up.
Yeah.
But if we would just stay in that tension, 10 minutes more, a day more, then that solution would come, trusting that that will come for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is all about like, what is going to make me happy in this moment? Going for a walk. Okay, go do that. Play with my kids. Have some alone time, right? And there isn't so much a thing of like writer's block. It's like, you're just not happy at the moment. Go get happy. Go get some happy. Right?
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Okay. And we're definitely stronger than we know. Again, that's that kind of forgetting stuff of who we really are. And the ego loves to play little. I can't. I'm not big enough. Little kids don't, like, I can do it. And some more of us mothers going, no, wait, you're not big enough. Okay, so you have everything you need. Anything else here that you'd like to go over?
I refer back to that last slide about, we're surrounded by love, we're surrounded by resources, we're surrounded by success. And so often when we're in a moment of discouragement or despair, we kind of like hunch our shoulders, head down, no eye contact. But if we would just like pause, breathe, and like look up, there are people that we know, there are people we can get to know, there's books, there's thousands of blog posts. Just recently, I heard a speaker say, with God and with Google, I'm unstoppable.
Ooh.
And so just realizing like I have everything I need at my fingertips, and it's just a matter of tapping into it, and it's already there for us.
Yeah. My husband's a profiler, and he was explaining, we ran into somebody, and the man was like talking to our dogs, and then when the man left, he said he's a very angry man, and it's like he didn't seem like it, like on his face or his mannerisms or how he treated the dogs. And I said, how can you tell? And he said, because his shoulders are forward, but like the head isn't down like you're describing, like, oh, kind of that slumped over. The head's up, but the shoulders are forward. There's a lot of anger there, right? And sometimes I think when we're disappointed, underneath it is our own anger, because we're very displeased with ourselves. There was something that popped for me, because you're just an absolute marketing maverick genius. So you were talking about kind of like taking time to rest. I'd love it if you would share your launch cycle, a little bit, like how you do that, and then how you get your breaks in before you gear up, and just how that works, because that's just brilliant stuff.
Yeah, great question. And I'm passionate about resting and taking things, making it simple so we're not striving and stressed out. So for me, with my launch cycle, and this can work whether it's a book or a course, is I love to have a long runway. So I break my year into 90-day segments, and then every 90 days there's something I'm offering or promoting. But because it's 90 days, there's a long runway to both start talking about it and kind of teasing it and hinting at it, like building that momentum and that mystery. But then there's also time to make sure it's created and polished and up to a high standard of excellence. But as I'm looking at that 90 days, I make sure that after the item launches, after the cart is closed, that I have at least a week where I'm not doing anything, where I'm just resting and I'm letting new ideas percolate, because I found that so many entrepreneurs, what we do is we just push ourselves so hard. And so it's like, launch this, create this. And we're on this like hamster wheel of stress and creation. And then what happens is I see so many authors, they write and publish, market their first book, and then they're so burnt out that they stop creating for like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And if they instead had practiced, loving kindness and had that intentional time of rest, much more likely to pick up their pen or their creativity at the end of that rest period. But because they didn't factor it in, they were just so burnt out, they gave up. And so that's why every 90 days I make sure I have a break and a rest planned in there.
A little catch in the throat. Speaking your truth. Because it's tempting to keep going, right?
It is tempting, yes. And I struggle with that too, because I love getting shit done.
Right?
And so I have to like nail myself down to stop at different times.
Yeah, I've been doing the whole, like, what do you really want to be doing? What feels like the thing for the day? And then zeroing in on that, and then taking a step back and going, okay, where is, everybody at? Who needs me for this, that, and the next thing? And that's been working really, really well for me to stay in flow, not only with my clients, but my clients I know are all hooked up soul to soul, and we're on this little energy circle or whatever. It's just been fascinating, and the timing and everything is just right, and it just blows my mind sometimes how cool that is. Okay, so beauty is always right there. Hit it.
This is one of my favorite points, because again, if we look at children, they are explorers, they experiment, and they're very observing. Almost every creature or mannerism they come across, you can almost see their little wheels turning, thinking, what is this? What does this mean? And they're just very curious. But as we grow into adulthood, part of our brains trying to save energy is that we just default things and we label things and we discard things. And so, when we see someone, we label, okay, they're beautiful or they're ugly. Or when we see a trait in ourselves, we label it, that's beautiful or that's ugly. And I truly believe that there really is no such thing as ugly if we will pause and kind of revert back to that child look, just observing and taking it in,
Yeah.
that so many things that the world has labeled ugly, or even that we ourselves are beating ourselves up over, if we would just view it, then we can come to a place of acceptance and even embracing and seeing the beauty in those very things that we were labeling before.
Yeah, absolutely. And really that's that, like, what do they mean when they say there is no duality, And I love the story of the sage. So the villagers, the sage's son broke his leg, and the villagers came to the sage's home to say, oh, it's so terrible, your son broke his leg. And then the soldiers came and took all the boys in the village except the sage's son, and the villagers all came and said, oh, it's so good your son broke his leg. The villagers didn't take it. Excuse me. Anyways, back up. So when they said it's so bad he broke his leg, the sage said maybe, and then when the soldiers came and said, oh, it's too bad that, or it's great that he broke his leg, and the sage said maybe, right? It just is. It's out of judgment. There is no duality at the level of the soul. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. And that's where so many of our negative emotions and those roller coasters that we get on, it's tied directly to our judgments and our expectations. And so the more we can kind of step back, then we're really empowered to decide, how do I view this, or what are my choices in this situation, instead of just labeling everything and kind of barreling through life that way.
Barreling, that's a good one. And my husband's a retired Navy guy, so he was out on the ships, different marriage, and he was out on the ships for 6 months at a time, and he was teaching me how, and this was in the work we were doing with clients that we share sometimes, how their emotions go up really, really high. And he said, however high a wave, and you would know this too, however high a wave goes up is how low the wave goes down. So he suggests to our clients that they only go up so far, so instead of being really, really excited, just, be excited, and that's great. Just don't let it go up too high, if you will. Because however high you go, that's how low you're going to go. And you'll actually raise your new norm. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so, and life is colorful. Again, see the beauty in life. It's amazing. I'm 62, so I'm from black and white era, and all the little kid photos or stuff are in black and white. So the way, even out on Pixabay, just go out and look at photos there. It just amazes me how brilliant the color is. Even in the last few years, something's shifted where it's just even more beautiful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah.
And as my eyes are aging, I was in the closet the other day, I could not see that this pair of pants was actually purple. It was a dark purple, but in the closet in that light, it looked brown. So as we age and we start to lose our ability to see color, and in certain lights we see it better, I just feel like there's an even deeper appreciation for color as we age. And you think about the little old lady walking down the sidewalk, pointing out the little flowers, and so that idea of smell and stop the roses,
Yeah.
I love it. I find myself doing that more and more.
Yeah.
All right. So everything has goodness within. Is there anything else you want to say about color?
I think just embrace the color in your life. And it kind of ties into that next point, every being has goodness within.
Mm-hmm.
And Linda, you talk about this a lot, where, how we talk about opportunities and how we talk about ourselves really can impact us. And so if we're saying, oh, I'm not outgoing, or I don't speak well, like, picture every time you say that, you're like this prison door or this prison bar is like slamming down in front of you. And the more we say those things or believe those things, the more closed off and enslaved we become.
Wow.
But if we can just change our language to, I can learn that, or I do enjoy that, and it doesn't mean we have to negate the fear or the insecurity. We could still say, I'm afraid of public speaking, but I look forward to learning more or doing it more. And then the
Yeah.
more we can change it, then you can literally imagine that those bars are just like, the doors are swinging open, the bars are like going back up over our heads so we can actually walk forward. Because we close ourselves off and we don't tap into the goodness and the color inside of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
through our language and through our beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great analogy. I love your story, your word picture story there of the bars. Yeah, and this year, my husband and I have been working on the word but, because but negates what you just said. And so, throwing in the and instead of a but is helpful in the languaging. And then I always teach like the 7 lies, I can't, I guess, I think, I don't know, right? And that can all shift. Like I don't know can shift to I know. And really it's kind of like the lies are our ego. That's how our humanness talks, and our soul knows better. And so when you know better, you do better. So when we're operating from a fully embodied soul, it's just like get it down there in your second chakra between your belly button and your pubic bone, right? I mean, that's the place that people, physical trainers and stuff tell you, or Pilates teachers, your core is in that abdomen area. Well, your second chakra is there too. And when you invite your soul all the way in, that's where it is. And I find that like a lot of trauma victims, they're floating around outside their body anyways, and to actually get into that womb space, especially if there's been sexual trauma, that's a big no. And they tend to just sort of float around in creativity instead of actually doing stuff. And that's the work I've been doing recently in helping people write books in 30 days. I've actually been working with trauma survivors, and it's just blowing my mind how the 7 lies and this full embodiment stuff makes such a difference in actually getting books out into the world.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else here?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So you've got a free gift. Thank you so much. You've got the 4 secrets of success, because even success, it's just a breath away, right? And that encouragement for writers. You can be successful. You can market your work. You can make money writing. That one really blows everybody away, and you're the sheer genius of that. And you're a student of it as well. So you're always learning and sharing tips, and it's just brilliant what you're bringing into the world as you do your own personal work. And that's what I admire so much about you, Deanne.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to share this with you. It's 4 simple, powerful truths about success, because like Linda said, it's only a breath away. And it's been such an honor to be here and share with you. And I look forward to seeing what each of you who's watching this, what you will write, what you will create, and just where you will go with your soul message and your future book.
Yeah, absolutely. So stay connected with Deanne. Watch her. She's moving. All right. So you go back to your email. The link is in your email. Just click and you'll be out to what you see on the right there. You can grab her gift. Thanks again, Deanne. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.